Welcome to Humanities Montana's virtual Montana Conversations program. Today we are featuring one of Montana's current Poets Laureate, Melissa Kwasny, for our series Shelter in Poetry as we shelter in place.
Welcome to Shelter in Place in Basin, Montana. I wanted to say a few things about that most poets I know are already friends with social distancing. We need it for our work. And so if it weren't for the anxiety over the possibility of illness for my friends and my family, my mother, my brother, who live far away, this pause, as it were, this impasse, in what seems like a often destructive forward motion, would be easy, but of course it's not. How can we live without the unknown in front of us? One of my favorite poets, Renee Shar, said, how can we live with the unknown in front of us? What I've been doing, I've been reading poems like I always do. I'm writing them. I'm exchanging them with friends. I'm working with an online graduate class who are telling me I've been making videos with prompts and exercises, and they're teachers in a graduate program, and they're telling me that this is a very healing, wonderful thing to do for them, to be able to stop and concentrate on their interior lives, what they're feeling, what they're fearing, those kind of things, and to pay attention to what's outside or what's around them through their senses. That somehow that is actually what they need right now, and I feel that's true. One thing I'm also doing, I just read an article in the New York Times. A professor at Stanford who was teaching a class on the literature of psychosis. And what the students and he found was that at each point where someone who was suffering found some kind of respite, some kind of opening or some kind of healing, it was in an encounter with something outside. And I think to remember that being outside is, for me, it's very healing. I'm taking long walks, which I think are kind of poetry anyway. I call them poetry walks. And I'm adding more poems that I have memorized to my collection. So that's something I can do while I'm walking. So I'm going to try this. This is a poem by Theodore Retke that I have always, it's been a touchstone for me because of its line, we learn by going where we have to go. The waking. I learn by going where I have to go. I feel my fate in what I cannot fear. I learn by going where I have to go. We think by feeling. What is there to know? I hear my being dance from ear to ear. I wake to sleep and take my waking slow. Of those so close beside me, which are you? God bless the ground. I shall walk softly there and learn by going where I have to go. Light takes the tree, but who can tell us how? The lowly worm climbs up the winding stair. I wake to sleep and take my waking slow. Great nature has another thing to do to you and me, so take the lively air, and lovely, learn by going where to go. This shaking keeps me steady. I should know what falls away is always and is near. I wake to sleep and take my waking slow. I learn by going where I have to go. And then I'd like to read one of my poems, one inspired by a line in an essay by Ezra Pound, where he says, there is the art of diagnosis, and then there is the art of cure. He's talking about poetry, of course, poetry that is diagnosing problems and saying that we also need that balance. And I think maybe not just the cure for this disease, but also the cure for fear, the cure for our anxiety. So this poem came from thinking about that. It's called The Art of Cure. There is the art of diagnosis, Ezra Pound wrote, and the art of cure. which is scribbled on thin paper, stained with the juice of blackberries, folded and refolded by a compulsive into the field, into grasses so dry they make us gasp, into peppermint leaves, vials of water. Thorns too, and thistles for protection, and would that be worth all the time you spend alone? And what would cure be past presumption? Past asking the gods to please give back our keys, past letting the ancient tree fall. Let our deaths come. Let them come as a songbird caught in a snare fashioned of horsehair and reeds, not to have brought them carelessly upon each other. They say the planting of lupin, cosmos, and yarrow will call the butterflies in. Likewise, a basin filled with wet sand. Remember how you once stood at a window above a lake, exclaiming, "I love it here," at the boats below and the light on water. Thanks.
That's beautiful. Thank you.